Even after the gate is safely loaded, the horses can stay very agitated. Add to that a wet, slippery racetrack, and it's a formula for disaster. The number 5 horse slips badly, breaking out of the gate, but appears to be unhurt. Still, it looked bad enough that the stewards, who settled all disputes at the racetrack, decide to take another look.
Again, please, put him back in. Let's see it again.
They need to make sure the horse who slipped didn't clip any of the others breaking out of the gate.
And then his legs kind of go out from under him.
Scrambles, doesn't it?
Yeah, he just comes apart.
After watching the break again, the stewards decide the start was clean.
Good to make it official?
Make it official.
All right.
Yeah.
Next, Just for Love hits the racetrack. 2:15, minutes before the start of the 4th race. The Boniface's horse, Just for Love, is in the paddock getting saddled. He's pretty worked up, but that's okay. It shows he's ready to go.
When a horse goes to the racetrack, I want them to have their game face on. Usually with a younger horse, you want them to be a little more on edge when they go to the paddock because you want them to know what they're there for.
Hang with him, Jack. Hang with him.
Once the jockeys are in the saddle, they head for the track. Now, Clyde Martin's thoughts turn to the starting gate.
You want your horse standing on all fours and looking down the racetrack and as quiet as he could be, because usually if they're quiet and relaxed, they'll break good for you. If they're real tense and balled up, you know, usually they're standing a little awkward and they don't get as good a break if they're that way.
This is when a trainer finds out whether all the hard work will pay off. Bill's been here 1,000 times before, but he still lives for this moment.
And it's the build-up of tension until the gates spring open, and then, as you've seen, when the gates spring open, everybody's eyes are glued, and that's where the action is. And when you hear the thunder and the hoofs coming down through the lane, it's just a real rush.
And they're off.
Bill watches the race with Just for Love's owner.
Didn't get away, kid.
Their horse is last out of the gate, but he quickly makes up ground.
And the inside is Victory Kappa was weak in second. Riding the Dragon also was dropped out of it. Just for Love looks to mount a late bid down the middle of the racetrack, and then it's You Gotta Be Kidding Me. But they'll all be battling for the balance here. Ants in My Pants widening at the 16th pole, now leading it by 4, almost 5, with Victory Cap second. Just for Love is on the outside third. It will be Ants in My Pants, a decisive 7-length winner. Victory Cap was second. Just for Love, who finished third.
It's a pretty good showing. Just for Love's time was good. He toughed out the mud, and he ran in the money.
Well, at least he'll get some show money for us, put something on the other side of the ledger.
Just for Love is a young horse. Bill knows that he has plenty of wins and losses ahead of him.
That's horse racing. So you just got to learn Brendan Barrett and go on to the next day. It's all hills and valleys. There's no in between. You know, it's chicken dinner or chicken feathers, and but I like that. If it wasn't, you know, if the losses weren't so hard, I don't think the wins would be so good.
For the Bonifaces, a day at the races ends like most others. Win or lose, they'll get up tomorrow and fight the battle again. Next on Thoroughbred, meet the real studs of Bonita Farm. And Billy helps train a favorite yearling.
don't care what he did at the racetrack. Now it's up to what his foals can do.
Billy bets the farm on a horse named Bud, while another young horse gives him a run for his money. And the family faces a tragedy.
And she was beautiful. And she's one of the most beautiful horses I've ever seen.
At Maryland's Bonita farm, the racehorses aren't the only source of glory. Stallions are the lifeblood of the farm, because if you're going to produce winners, you have to have the right gene pool.
That's where everything starts. You know, you have to have the stallions to breed to the mares, to get the foals, to get them to the training barn. So that's where everything begins.
Not only do the farm's 4 stallions sire many of Bonita's foals, but also they are hired out for thousands of dollars to mate with mares owned by other farms. But their progeny have to win, and win big, to keep the customers coming back to Bonita. With so much riding on them, it's no wonder the stallions are Bonita's most pampered thoroughbreds. The farm's most successful stallion is an aging hero named Deputed Testimony, whom the family has nicknamed DT. He's also the best racehorse they've ever had. In 1983, he won the Preakness, one of racing's most coveted prizes.
He was probably the most gallant and courageous and determined horse I ever trained. Did by far not have the best pedigree, not the best parentage, but he had desire.
The spectacular win, along with the stud fees the champion commanded, helped create Bonita Farm.
More than anything, DT built this farm, and he is a Boniface. DT Boniface, that's his initials.
Deputed Testimony has sired more than 200 winners, making him one of the state's top 10 stallions. His reputation will be on the line again when one of his sons runs at the upcoming Maryland Million, the biggest race event in the state. There's $1 million to be won that day, and every horse entered must be sired by a Maryland stud.
I love going down Maryland Million Day. And the reason why it's Maryland Million Day is for Maryland. And, you know, everybody, we're competing against other stud farms who have stallions, they're standing them. And it's, you know, although we're all friends, we're still competitors. And it's just kind of bragging rights. You know, my stallion's doing better than your stallion. It's like Deputed Testimony. He's king of the hill right now.
One of DT's sons, named Testing, will be running in the day's biggest race, the Classic. Last year, Testing placed a disappointing 4th in the same race. Then a minor injury sidelined him. Bill made the tough decision to sell him, needing to make room for more competitive horses. Testing will be running for a new owner this year. Still, a win for a son of DT is a win for Bonita's stallions. At 20, Deputed Testimony is entering his twilight years. To have his son triumph in the big race at the Maryland Million would be a perfect cap to his career. The Bonifaces care about all their horses, but some find a special place in their hearts. For the past year, a dynamite little filly named Broadway Road has had everyone's attention. John Boniface broke her and noticed her promise right from the start.
The filly Broadway Road, she's a tough little filly. So if we can keep her healthy and sound, she might be a racehorse the way she acts.
From an energetic yearling, Broadway Road matured into a potential powerhouse as a 2-year-old.
She's got a very distinctive, assertive personality. She's one of the kind Might be when you get her going to a faster speed, she might put her old head down on a buck even, you know, or she might want to kick at the other horse, or she might do something funny.
Get up, Broadway.
She's tough to ride, but that's fine with the farm. It means she's got spirit. Her exercise rider, Shorty, is just as tough as she is. He doesn't see a problem child,
Yet again.
only a future champion.
Good girl, Broadway. Racehorse here, Pop. Gonna be a winner.
So what is it?
As Broadway Road keeps burning up the practice track, Chris Boniface falls under her spell.
Well, yeah, because she has character, you know, and it's not like she's wild all the way to the track and, you know, wild on the track. She's like, let's train, gallops around there with her neck bowed. She acts like she's gonna put it in the right place, you know.
Before she can actually compete, Broadway Road must show the Bonifaces she can make the final cut. She needs to run 1/8 of a mile in 14 seconds.
Good enough for first time.
12 seconds. 2 seconds faster than she needed. A huge edge in the world of horse racing.
So she's got the pedigree, she's got the looks, and she's got the desire. And, you know, she has that little bit of intangible that makes you go crazy at night. And my brother John said, oh yeah, that one will never make the races. And, you know, he's saying that facetiously because, you know, she's just crazy enough that she's going to hurt herself, but she's just crazy enough if we do get her there, she might rise to the top.
Next, Billy takes a custom-made horse out for a spin.
Half turn to go. Close it up, Justin, close it up. Good boy.
Each year, hope springs eternal at Bonita Farm when John Boniface starts training the yearlings.
You gotta give everybody fair warning because they weren't ready. Each day I just give them something else to think about, and it's very small. They remember what we did yesterday, and they're just curious what's coming next. So if we just get them in the habit of doing the same thing, give them a little bit each day, that's the way to teach them how to do them, to become racehorses.
There's one young horse whom John's older brother insists on training himself. Billy basically designs all of Bonita's horses, carefully matching up mares and stallions to produce potential winners. It's supposed to be all business, but he's been smitten by a yearling he's nicknamed Bud, whose mother got sick shortly after he was born.
So I had to take care of him for 2 or 3 days by myself. And during that process, he kind of got attached to me, and I kind of got attached to him. And when I brought his mother back, well, he went right with her. But we kind of had that bond. I mean, if I walked out in the field, he'd follow me around still. And I mean, it sounds corny, but I kind of got attached to him that way. And I'm not supposed to, but with this one, I made an exception.
Bud is the product of a favorite Bonita mare and a champion Kentucky stallion. Billy thinks this match might be one of his best.
When you take a mare and you take the stallion and you figure on paper, well, this would really work. And when the resulting foal comes out and it looks like what you want it, and then when it competes the way you want it, then that's just awesome.
How would you stop?
Now that Bud is in training, Billy will get his first look at his project's potential.
Ready, guys? Yep. Walking. Come on, Bud. Act like you got a little energy today. Come on.
Bud has already been taught to be comfortable wearing a bridle and saddle, but today he'll have to deal with a rider on his back for the first time.
Oh, you're perfect.
Here we go. Oh.
You get all the way up.
We are going all the way up the ramp. Oh, Bud. Oh, Bud. Oh, Bud. Oh. What am I doing up here, huh? What am I doing up here? What am I doing up here?
Say we were turning this off.
Yes, please.
Okay, you ready?
Turn. I don't like standing still. I like to turn. I like to turn. Okay, Bud. Come on, Bud. Good boy.
Bud stays calm and collected. It's exactly what Billy wants him to do.
Smart as a whip, aren't you? You don't care if I sit here all day, do you? Huh? You don't care if I sit here all day, do you?
A week later, the yearlings are about to get their first taste of being ridden outside the barn.
Behind Billy.
Billy will help John with several of the horses, not just Bud. The two brothers take the most rambunctious and potentially dangerous young horses first. These yearlings need experienced hands. They are no walk in the park. Getting right back on is one of the first principles of horsemanship.
What you find?
You got the strength between your feet now.
But that doesn't mean it's easy.
Okay, settle. Walk. Okay. Wait a second here. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Go back.
Hey, don't get mad.
All right.
Just put him between the eyes, Barb. Beat him in the middle. He's got it by the ball.
Got him.
Now it's Bud's turn.
Bud. What am I doing when you out here? Oh, I don't know. I don't care.
The Bonifaces believe training young horses is best done with a series of baby steps. Simply walking calmly outside with a person on his back is a big accomplishment for Bud.
You're okay. We're going to walk right on through this turn.
Please.
Try to pull him off. He did everything that he was supposed to. He was supposed to not act up any. He's a smart horse. He's a smart horse. Of course, he and I have been together for a while, so I'm sure he likes me a little bit. You did a good job today, okay? Good boy.